Per Shams, the Warriors have reached out about every single star in the NBA. And thus far, they have nothing on today's show.
Who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
There's not many defenses in the world that can stop him.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is the good word, everyone? Welcome into Locked On Warriors. We have a ton to talk about since the last time we saw you. Unfortunately, it's still the same old Golden State Warriors as we knew them a week ago. This is Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. What time is it? It is Game Time. We do have a free daily newsletter that's delivered right to your inbox. You can find it at lockedondaily.com. My name is Charlie Walter. You can find the show wherever you get your audio podcasts, and we stream on YouTube. My credentials as the host of the show: I formerly worked for 95.7 The Game, which is the flagship for the Golden State Warriors in the Bay Area. Also covered the team, their title run in 21-22 for CBS News Bay Area. Matt Kolsky joins me on the show. Kolsky worked for KNBR 95.7 The Game for many years, and quite frankly, many trade deadlines where the Warriors stood pat a lot of the times because they could stand pat. But right now, it is very clear that the Dubs need to do something. They are in desperation mode, it sounds like, trying to find anything and everything, and thus far, they have got nothing, and they don't like it, it sounds like. Let's start with the fact, Kolsky, that Luka Doncic is now a Los Angeles Laker. Zach LaVine is now a Sacramento King. And Kevin Durant apparently was contacted, or at least the Suns were contacted by the Warriors to bring KD back home, and the Suns said, get out of here. But I just read about 20 minutes ago, this is 10:40 Pacific time on Monday, that Kevin Durant is open for business. So what the hell's going on?
Did they say get out of here? Or did they say, well, let's start with
it's going to take more than Pods and Buddy Hield and Wiggins.
Yeah, that's probably true. Could you do it without Kuminga? Do you want to do it without Kuminga? Or do you want to put him in as a rather than draft picks? Because, I mean, look, if you have Kevin Durant, you're kicking the Kuminga can so far down the road, he should go somewhere else. I tilted the camera so we could see. I don't give a damn about no damn Drake night.
Oh, you a damn about no damn Drake night?
Experience. I love watching him. I think he is a top 8 basketball player in the history of the game. He is the most incredible offensive superpower we've ever seen. And when you see what he can still do on both ends, by the way, like his offense is the galaxy bender, but he's a heck of a defender too. He'd be their best player, probably. I mean, even with Steph, even-ish. They'd have 2 legitimate superstars.
Yep.
Of course you do it if you can. Let's talk about the stuff that already happened first, though, because...
Let's start with LaVine, because that's the one that pertains to the Warriors the most, and it sounds like the Warriors reached out to the Bulls about both LaVine and Vucevic. You would have to imagine that Vucevic is on the move before the deadline's over, as they have fully committed to a rebuild. Could it be to Golden State? Maybe. Although that, of all the trades, it sounds like the Warriors have reached out about, because LeBron James is also on the table. They've reached out to the Lakers about LeBron. The trade with Vuce, it just doesn't really, it doesn't really get me jazzed up like some other ones would. LaVine would have got me jazzed up. And that was one that it felt like was trending the Warriors' way. And then the other team up the road in Northern California, Sacramento, swoops in. They said, hey, we brought in DeRozan in the offseason. Let's bring in more offense. That trade involves De'Aaron Fox going to San Antonio to partner up with Victor Wembanyama. So out is De'Aaron Fox, and in is Zach LaVine. Your thoughts on that one, and the Warriors missing out on another big-time trade?
I don't know what the hell the Kings are doing. It's as ridiculous as what the Mavericks are doing. I grew up going to Bulls games. I'm a diehard Bulls fan. And what I can tell you about the DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine combination experience is that it was not a very good team, and it brutalized Zach LaVine in terms of his usefulness. DeMar DeRozan wants the ball in his hands. The same way it torched the Kings with De'Aaron Fox, it's going to torch him with Zach LaVine. I do not understand why you would want to put those two guys back together. It's insane. And what is Sabonis but a rich man's Vucevic? Like, they're literally putting together a Bulls team that couldn't barely make the play-in for years. It's plumb insane. I don't have any concept of what the plan is there or what they're doing. Same as, I mean, look, at least Dallas got Anthony Davis. I don't want to be a Mavs fan right now because you just don't trade somebody as good as Luka Doncic ever.
I agree there, but in their defense, a lot of fans are treating Anthony Davis right now like he's a 37-year-old Tyson Chandler, like he's Hassan Whiteside or something. Like, Anthony Davis is 25-12. Sure, is he fragile? Absolutely. Sure, is he 31? Yes. But you get a first-round pick out of it, and you get Anthony Davis. Did they win the trade? Most likely not. I think there was obviously something that went on behind the scenes, or they have to really not like Luka Doncic. Although I go back to the situation where it was Michael Finley took the beer out of his hand in June after they won the Western Conference.
I think it was actually Nico Harrison who took the beer out of his hand.
Was it Nico?
I
okay.
think so.
You don't take a beer out of a man's hand. Let's put it that way.
Obviously, they hate him. There's no other explanation for that. Like, you don't trade a 25-year-old who has a chance to be one of the 20 greatest players of all time for anything, unless it's another guy who fits that description. But really, for anything, unless you absolutely hate him. So Nico Harrison and Jason Kidd and the new ownership must hate Luka's guts because you got worse and older. And although Anthony Davis doesn't overeat or drink too much, he's not reliable in terms of being on the floor. So you did not get more reliable. You got older and worse. That said, Anthony Davis is still an all-star. He's playing great right now. He's been healthier the last couple years than the previous few. So there's still something happening. Like, Dallas is still a good team. Sacramento is not a good team right now. And they just facilitated a trade. I assume that the Bulls really wanted their own first-round pick back because this is a great draft coming up, and they're going to tank. They're going to tank the absolute lights out right now. That being said, other than their own first-round pick, what they got, I think the Warriors could beat for Zach LaVine. So it's either the Bulls were so determined to get their own pick back, which meant they had to deal with San Antonio, and San Antonio wanted De'Aaron Fox, so that's how LaVine gets caught up in it. Or the Warriors just didn't make a legitimate offer for LaVine, or they thought they had time. They thought they'd have another few days, and he got swept out from under them. But it's a bad look because the price that it took to get Zach LaVine out of Chicago was something the Warriors easily could have paid without giving up Jonathan Kuminga, probably without giving up more than one first-round draft pick. I don't know why they wouldn't have done that.
Time. Yeah, no, I agree. And time is something that I think needs to be brought up in this situation, because if Dennis is to be involved in any of these trades, $13 million, which is obviously valuable. Maybe not in the case of LaVine, because it would have taken Wiggins regardless, or Draymond, and it probably would have taken those expiring contracts. The math isn't really mathing by throwing in Dennis. But you have to wait until February 5th.
But even if it did, Chuck, right? You can agree on that deal.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
So that's not an excuse in my mind. Like, if Schroeder needs to be part of a deal, then you handshake on it today and you put it on paper on February 5th. Like, that should not be an obstacle. And I think increasingly there just are, the obstacles are not big enough to excuse something not getting done here. So I sure hope they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, because if this all ends and LaVine is on Sacramento and Fox is on San Antonio and Luka's on the Lakers and all this movement happens, and the Warriors end up with Nick Vucevic or nothing, I can't tell fans not to be furious, because I would be furious.
Look is what it is. All right, let's continue this conversation because there are more players to talk about. Jimmy Butler. This was one that got very close. It sounds like. How close? We're going to give you the details coming up on Locked On Warriors.
Forget that. We champs. Why are you starting with that question? We got 4 championships.
Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download that Gametime app. Use code LOCKEDONNBA. You will get $20 off your first purchase. If you're looking for tickets to your next big event, it could be a concert, it can be a comedy show, a sports game, whatever it is. Finding the right ticket at the right price can be a headache, but with Gametime picks, it's never been easier. Let me tell you how it works. The app does all the hard work for you, curates the best deals, so you don't waste time searching through endless ticket listings. You also get a panoramic view from your seats. I recently grabbed a super deal for a prime seat to the Magic game. Could not believe the value. It was a steal. That seat feature, it is a game changer. Before you hit buy, you can see exactly what your seat will look like in the venue. It's just reassuring. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Back to the show, Kolsky. Let's talk a little Jimmy Buckets.
Forget that. We champs. Why are you starting with that question? We got 4 championships.
All right, so it sounds like Jimmy Butler to the Warriors was something. It sounds like it was a, I guess, pattern here to where the Warriors started off looking for Durant last week. The Suns said nope. So then they turned their attention to Zach LaVine. They did not win out on Zach LaVine. And then Jimmy Butler. So here's the quote from Brett Siegel, who, as of right now, is trying to be the next Shams in the reporting world. I mean, he is everywhere. He guaranteed Warriors fans that they're going to be making a trade on Tuesday or Wednesday. So if nothing happens, Siegel, you lost that one. No team has been more involved in trade conversations leading up to the season's deadline than the Warriors. Funny how they're one of the teams that has gotten nothing done. At the same time, no team has faced more challenges in making a trade. The Heat's Jimmy Butler communicated to the Warriors that he's unwilling to sign an extension there, and therefore trade talks to send him to Golden State have ended for now, sources told ESPN. You dodged a bullet there. If you were looking, don't give me that, Kolsky. If you're looking to extend a 35-year-old, the last thing we need is for more Jurassic Park music to be playing. No more dinosaurs. You got to get younger. Extending Jimmy Butler for $50 more million, that would have been the dumbest thing they could have done, sending Wiggins out the door in the process. That's fine with me. I don't care about that one. Your thoughts?
I mean, it would make them a better team. You know, it would hamstring them moving forward. So that's probably not a great idea. It depends what Jimmy Butler you get, how healthy he is. So, yeah, I mean, it's cashing in your chips for a middling result. Now, if everything had worked perfectly, Steph, Kuminga, Butler, Draymond, that's something. Look, we love Andrew Wiggins around here, but Jimmy Butler is Andrew Wiggins with a rocket up his butt. Like they're not comparable players. But he is older. And yeah, it would have been really cashing everything in. It probably would have meant you couldn't do anything in the summer. So I'm of two minds. Like, part of me says if Butler was the best you could do, you should have done it. On the other hand, he's obviously, because it's not just the Warriors. He told Memphis he wouldn't stay long-term either, right? He's obviously
a pain in the ass. At a certain point, he's been a pain in the ass everywhere. He's won games.
He's been a pain in the ass when he's ready to leave, yes. Yeah, and you can never know when that's going to be, right? It's a gamble. It would have been a gamble. But I think right now, you need to gamble. There's not going to be an option that's not a gamble. I mean, if they trade, for instance, Kuminga and picks and Wiggins and contracts to the Suns for Kevin Durant, that's a huge gamble. If you don't win a title, it was stupid. And that's kind of the position they're in with everything they do. If they don't win a title with whatever they do, they're going to be giving away future assets for what could probably be described as mediocre return. That's why Levine was appealing, because it didn't take Kuminga. It probably didn't take more than one at the most first round pick. You probably could have kept most of the pieces for your future. And Levine's 29, 30. He's going to be with you for the next 4 or 5 years. Now, I just don't know who the guy is that makes them better if it's not Jimmy Butler. I mean, who's next on your list? It'd be great if you could get KD, but that does seem like a long shot to me.
I'm reading, and look, after the whole Luka Doncic deal, I guess nothing is off the table, but there is one thing that goes into this that matters, and that is finances. Money has to match, and you can't just, at least you tell me if I'm wrong, you can't just stockpile everyone like you could at one point. I guess you could just go over the aprons, take on all the penalties, and do whatever you want, right? To a certain extent.
Well, no, the aprons are much more punitive, so it's much harder to do that. But that's not. What option?
This is the option. It's from
okay.
Jake Fisher. I believe he's with Bleacher Report. The Suns are listening to offers on Kevin Durant. Durant is aware of this. Golden State has been the most active in the pursuit of Durant, with Phoenix holding interest in Kuminga. Okay. Golden State's ideal plan, bringing both LeBron and Durant to the Bay Area to play alongside Curry. So that is where I say it seems a little impossible financially, right?
Yeah, I don't think you can do that. Well, what does Kevin Durant make? I don't know. I don't think you can do that unless Draymond.
You're talking close to $150 million from 3 players. And then, Draymond would have to be gone. Wiggins would obviously be gone. Your team would look like Pods and Pat Spencer, and you'd probably have to
hold on. If you get Steph, LeBron, and KD, you're on to something. Full stop. Who are you trading Draymond to, I guess would be my question. Who wants Draymond? Do the Lakers want Draymond instead of LeBron? That does not totally add up to me.
So I'm kind of reading this real time. Sources say the most ambitious idea being tossed around. Is there a feasible pathway for the Warriors to pull off the dreamiest of outcomes, to find a way to bring both James and Durant to the Bay? The path to Durant alone seems plausible. Phoenix, entering Monday's business, continue to signal that it does not plan to move Durant before the deadline, but the Suns are believed to be listening to various teams' pitches. The Warriors are very aggressive in those pitches, yada, yada, yada. Why is Phoenix even listening on Durant? The 25 and 23 Suns simply aren't in position not to, especially after everything happened with Luka. There's no actual factoids in there about
I don't
how
think
this
they can
could
do
actually
it.
get done.
I get it. That's very appealing for a variety of reasons, because even if you don't
Build
win,
a statue for Dunleavy. Yeah, even if you sucked, it'd be entertaining basketball. It'd help our show tremendously.
for the next however many years LeBron decides to keep playing, you're putting the 3 best players of an era on the floor together every night. That's spectacular. But
what if pay cuts were involved? What if
I don't think that's allowed. I don't think a guy is allowed to. It's not like football where you can restructure.
Not an in-season pay cut. You're just shave 20 mil off. I'm good. I want to play with my guys.
First of all, if anyone was going to do that, it would probably have to be Steph, because I can't imagine. Certainly KD, I can't imagine doing that. I can't really imagine LeBron doing it either, for the Warriors' purposes. So that would probably have to be Steph taking a pay cut, and he'd have to probably go down to a minimum contract for that to work out. But the bigger problem to me is the money you need to acquire those guys doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know how. Why would either the Suns or Lakers want Draymond Green if they are trading away, LeBron and KD? It doesn't add up. Could you maybe cobble enough people together? If the Lakers somehow are in a position where they just want LeBron off the books, could you send them a poo-poo platter of expiring contracts with a draft pick and get it done? Maybe.
Now that they have Luka, I mean, it makes a little more
would they
sense
rather
than it did a
just
week
have
ago.
like Kyle Anderson, Buddy Hield, Gary
Well, that's
Payton?
where it gets difficult because you have Anderson and Hield on deals. Granted, they're not expensive deals, but like Buddy Hield, you have him locked up if he wants to opt in for another 4 years or whatever it is.
Well, there's an out after next year in some way, I believe. But either way, like, those aren't terrible pieces to put around Luka Doncic. If the idea is just have Luka be the center of everything and put a bunch of, fungible playmakers and shooters around him, I don't know. That seems way outside the likely possibilities. Now, one or the other feels more feasible to me. And the thing with the Jimmy Butler drama is if I don't think Pat Riley likes to be pushed around. Okay? And my instinct is that if Jimmy Butler is torching every potential trade that's not the Suns, and the Suns aren't offering something that Pat Riley wants, I think Pat Riley at 80 whatever years old has enough FU in him to say, you know what, then you're not getting traded. And you can either come play for us or keep messing around and we'll suspend you for the rest of the season and see what your value is like after that, you bum. So I don't if the Suns cannot get a Jimmy Butler deal done, maybe they start to think, let's reset. Booker's still young enough to build around. Bradley Beal's an albatross will eventually be able to get out from under. Let's get what we can for Kevin Durant. The problem there becomes, do the Warriors have the best offer for Durant if he's on the table? Now, if they're interested in Kuminga, maybe so. And I've been pretty vocal about not moving Kuminga, but if it brings Kevin Durant back, I think I can get down with that.
The important question that we're asking, are the Golden State Warriors actually going to do anything? We know they want to do something. Are they going to do anything? We're debating that coming up on the show.
Who cares how I feel? It's about winning basketball games.
Basketball season is heating up, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with PrizePicks. It is the best place for daily fantasy sports. With over 10 million members and billions in awarded winnings, PrizePicks makes it easy and fun to turn your sports knowledge into real money. Here's how it works. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you could win up to 1,000 times your cash. This week, I'm looking at I'm going to look at Anthony Davis on his over of rebounds. I'm going to look at Jason Tatum on more than points. I'm going to put those together. You also get Taco Tuesday promos that gives you discounted player projections and even more value. Check out the promos tab to tail any of the super sweet Millie winner game lineups. If you tail a lineup that goes 3 for 3, you can win a split of $1 million in promo funds. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is Locked On NBA. $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game.
I don't give a damn about no damn Drake night.
Will we be hearing that voice? I don't give a damn about no damn Drake night. Kevin Durant coming back to the Bay. They're going to try everything. The Warriors are going to try everything in their power to bring Durant back. They're going to try everything in their power to bring LeBron into town. They're inquiring about stars. Does that mean they've hit up the Pelicans about Zion or Brandon Ingram? Who knows what classifies as a star? It's probably a little bit hyperbole when Shams said, no, literally every all-star in the league the Golden State Warriors are inquiring about. So maybe it hasn't gone that far, but he named the big ones, LeBron, KD. They've already been in on the Bulls guys. Jimmy Butler. Is anything going to happen? We've been waiting a minute for the Warriors to make a big-time deal, and granted, you can say, well, they made it with Jordan Poole and Chris Paul. That, to me, was always a salary dump, in my opinion. Bringing in an old star like Chris Paul, I mean, good player, don't get me wrong, but to make a championship push, I never thought that one had the legs there. It was to get out from under Poole more than it was to make your team a significantly better basketball squad. Your opinion on all this, Kolsky? Are they actually going to do anything? Or are we going to be sitting here February 7th saying it's the same exact 500 roster that we've been watching for the last 2 months?
I think something happens. Something's got to happen.
Brett Siegel told us it would happen on Tuesday or Wednesday. He guaranteed it.
It's not just Brett Siegel. I just try to think about it from Mike Dunleavy's perspective. Quite obviously, the team look, it'd be great if you were healthy and you knew exactly what it looked like altogether, but you're not. You haven't been, and I don't think you can count on that. So what you have now is a mediocre basketball team built around one of the greatest players of all time. That's really not acceptable. Full stop. Can't do it. Can't have it. Got to do something. I am deeply afraid from the Warriors' perspective that we end this trade deadline season looking at Zach LaVine as at the one who got away, because the price was not insane and they were in the talks, and we'll probably never know exactly what happened there. But my instinct is the way the league has moved around them. Joe Lacob may not be as impatient as some Warrior fans, but he's not the most patient guy in the world either. And something is going to happen here. Mike Dunleavy has to do something. Not that he'll get fired if he doesn't, but like his boss is telling him to do something. I have no doubt about that. So what that is, again, I hope it's not a couple marginal moves and we look back at Zach LaVine as the one who got away. If it's KD, LeBron, Zion, those names are interesting to me. If it's Brandon Ingram or Nick Vucevic, I don't know, man. That doesn't do it for me. We'll obviously see. It's a tough spot to be in for sure.
It is. It is. One of the reasons why it's such a tough spot is because, let's call out the elephant in the room, and that is, if Andrew Wiggins is your only 25 million plus player that you're willing to trade, that's difficult. What if a team does not want Andrew Wiggins? It's as simple as that. Like, he's on a 3-year deal. If they don't want him, then there's not a lot you can do there. The other player that could make sense financially is Draymond Green, but it doesn't seem like in a million years the Warriors are going to attach Draymond Green to any of these packages. And it's just like, if your ultimate plan is to somehow bring in Bron and KD to play next to Steph, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You just can't. Something's going to have to give.
You know what's interesting that had not occurred to me until we just started having this conversation? I don't know that Kevin Durant would super want to play with Draymond again. But Devin Booker might. I guess I wonder if Steph would greenlight that. Because you say it seems like they wouldn't be willing to trade Draymond Green. I tend to agree with you, but if Steph said they could, sure they would. There's no question that Steve Kerr is at least a little bit sick of coaching Draymond Green. There's no doubt that there are voices within the organization who send Joe Lacob a text every time a new Draymond podcast gets released, right? Like, it's not all roses with Draymond and the Warriors organization. They love him. They appreciate him for what he is. But I guarantee you they wish he would get less technical fouls and also do less podcasts, right? And that's just, among the things that they probably could do without in the Draymond experience. Draymond is also Steph's absolute number 2 ride or die dude who makes Steph's life easier in a variety of ways and, generally has more value to the Warriors than others. But I do think he could serve a similar purpose next to Devin Booker. Like, if the Suns could talk themselves into Draymond and Kuminga, I don't know. I think the front office would do it if Steph okayed it, is my point.
Draymond, Kuminga, Dennis would probably get that done. Throw in a protected, maybe an unprotected first-round pick. Durant's coming back to the Bay. Then how do you get LeBron? How do you get the Monstars together?
Well, then it's Wiggins and a draft pick or something. Wiggins and Kyle Anderson, Buddy Hield. I don't know. Like, you can make it work. If you're trading Wiggins and Draymond, you could make the Stephen, LeBron, and KD thing work.
And you still get to keep Pods. All is well in the world.
And Moody. Who knows?
Yes.
But I'll tell you this. I would not be looking to give up any draft picks after 2027 if I'm making that deal.
Oh, yeah. You're playing for the short term at that point. You're getting some asses in the seats. Not that was an issue in the first place.
No, but I mean,
if it's bringing the spotlight to the Bay, I mean, this podcast would pop
if
we
it's
got
LeBron, Steph, KD. Like, you're picking first in 2029. You know what I mean? It's gonna end quickly. It'll be awesome while it lasts, and it'll end suddenly.
Hey, is that what you want? Leave it in the comments. Comment in general about what you think the Warriors are going to do, what they should do. It's Monday night. I'll be live from Chase Center for the Magic game. Courtside, baby. Credentialed media member Chuck Walter here. So we'll break down that game. Hopefully the Warriors can get a W. And bigger than a W right now to me is some movement. I really want to see something happen. I mean, I care what it is, honestly, but I would hope that they make the right decision on what it is. But I want to see something. Been a little stale for a minute now. It feels like the last 2 seasons have kind of bled into this one. We thought maybe losing Clay would give him a fresh start, and it felt good out of the gate, didn't it? But we've come to realize that Klay Thompson was not the only issue. It goes a lot bigger than that. And would Durant and LeBron help? Would that even be possible? Leave your comments. Kolsky, final words on the way out.
Just do something, Dunleavy. Get something done.
Do something.
Make this more interesting for us, because watching this same team has ceased to be interesting.
Fair enough. Locked on Warriors. We are free and available wherever you get your audio podcasts. Also, you can check us out on YouTube. Peace.